I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now. What I'm about to share isn't the kind of thing your father told you before bed. It's not what your teachers drilled into you in school. It's not what society wants you to know. In fact, most men will go to their graves completely blind to this. And that's exactly how the system wants it. Because once you hear what I'm about to tell you, you can't unhear it. It's the kind of knowledge that splits your life into two parts. The time before you knew it and the time after. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli put into words the most dangerous truths about human nature ever recorded. So dangerous that the Catholic Church banned his book. So powerful that kings, presidents, CEOs and generals have studied it in secret while condemning it in public. Why? Because Machiavelli didn't write theory. He wrote the operating manual for human beings. Not how we pretend to work, not how we wish we worked, but how we actually work. And here's the part that should terrify you. The people who already know these truths are using them against you every single day in boardrooms, in relationships, in politics, in war. They're playing chess while you're still playing checkers. So ask yourself, why didn't your father teach you this? Why didn't your teachers? The answer is simple. Because their fathers didn't teach them, and because society has programmed you to believe that seeing reality makes you cynical, that strategy makes you manipulative, that understanding power makes you evil. But here's the brutal truth. Ignorance isn't virtue. Ignorance is weakness. And starting right now, I'm going to make you powerful. I'm going to make you dangerous. And once you see these truths, you'll never see human interaction the same way again. So before we go any further, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because what I'm about to reveal will make you see the world differently forever. And you don't want to miss what comes next. Ham music. You've been told your whole life that humans are rational, that we weigh options, that we calculate outcomes, that we make decisions based on logic and reason. That's a lie, and it's one of the most dangerous lies you've ever been fed. Machiavelli knew the truth 500 years ago. He wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." Translation: people make choices based on appearances, on illusions, on what looks right, not what is right. And here's the dark reality. Most people don't want the truth. They want comfort. Think about it. The friend who begs you for advice about his failing relationship, but ignores you because the truth would hurt. The coworker who complains he's broke, then throws away money on Starbucks every morning because the ritual feels good. The woman who swears she wants a nice guy, but repeatedly falls into the arms of the man who treats her like an option. Logic dies the moment it collides with desire. Reason evaporates when faced with fear, lust, status, or comfort. That's the game. And you've been playing it wrong because you've been told to persuade people with facts, to win arguments with evidence, to show people the rational path. But facts don't move people. Feelings do. The man who masters feelings, who knows how to bypass logic and speak straight to emotion, controls every room he enters. That man doesn't waste time trying to prove he's right. He makes people feel he's right, and that is infinitely more powerful. Think about the greatest manipulators in history. Hitler didn't rise to power with spreadsheets and statistics. He rose with speeches that inflamed anger, fear, and hope. Corporations don't make billions by showing you the chemical formula of soda. They sell you happiness in a bottle. Religions don't spread with philosophy debates. They spread by capturing the heart, the soul, the fear of damnation, and the promise of paradise. This is why you lose arguments. This is why your advice is ignored. This is why the people you want to influence slip through your fingers, because you thought people were rational. They're not. They're addicts chasing feelings. So here's your first dark lesson. Stop trying to change minds with facts. Start shaping emotions. Want to make someone follow you. Don't tell them what's good for them. Show them what makes them feel good about themselves. Want to influence a partner. Don't argue about logic. Make them experience the pain of losing you or the joy of pleasing you. Want to dominate in business? Forget data. Craft the story that makes your audience believe you're the inevitable winner. The man who argues with facts is a school teacher. The man who manipulates feelings is a king. And once you understand this, you'll see through everyone around you. The politicians smile, the influencers brand, the co-workers excuses, all masks designed to protect feelings, not reveal truth. But once you see the mask, once you know that beneath every action is an emotion, a weakness, a hunger, you can pull the strings. And that's just the beginning, because if people are irrational, then loyalty itself must be an illusion. And that takes us to Machiavelli's next warning. There are only two kinds of men in this world. Predators and prey, that's it. Strip away the polite masks, the politics, the morality, and what you're left with is the oldest law of nature. The strong take. The weak are taken from. And here's the hidden cruelty. Weakness doesn't just fail to protect you. It attracts predators like blood in the water. Think about it. Why do bullies single out the quiet kid, not the fighter? Why do corporations cut the weakest employees first? Why do women abandon the man who bends and cling to the man who stands firm? Because predators always choose the easy meal. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Not because fear is noble, but because fear keeps the wolves away. Love without strength invites betrayal, but fear without love commands survival. Now, here's the sinister twist most men never realize. Weakness doesn't just destroy you. It corrupts everyone around you. A weak man forces others to carry him. A weak man drains the strong until they either cut him loose or collapse with him. A weak man makes the world harsher for everyone else. Because when predators devour him, they don't stop. They look for the next meal. That's why weakness is more dangerous than cruelty. Cruel men at least stand on their own. Weak men become black holes, pulling others down with them. And yet society tells you to be harmless, to soften yourself, to embrace your weakness. They call it sensitivity. They call it being a better man. But here's the truth. The man who cannot defend himself, his family, or his reputation is not a good man. He's a liability. Strength is not optional. It is the price of survival. And once you accept this, the world looks different. Every interaction becomes a test. Who is predator? Who is prey? Who is strong enough to set the rules? And who is weak enough to follow them blindly? This is why women chase men who radiate strength, because instinctively they know weakness cannot protect them. This is why leaders rise to power, because people would rather obey the strong than be torn apart in the chaos of the weak. And this is why you must decide. Will you be predator or prey? Your father, your teachers, maybe even your mother, they all told you the same thing. Be nice, be agreeable, don't make waves, don't upset anyone, and people will like you. They lied. Machiavelli saw it centuries ago. He wrote, "Men are so simple, and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." Do you see what he meant? People confuse weakness for goodness. They confuse obedience for virtue, and they confuse being nice with being valuable. That's why women say they want nice guys but end up with men who break rules. That's why companies praise the team player while promoting the ruthless strategist. That's why the world keeps rewarding the ones you call bad boys, tyrants, sharks. Because here's the truth. Nice is not the same as good. Nice is avoiding conflict because you're afraid. Nice is saying what people want to hear so you'll be liked. Nice is seeking approval, hoping for scraps of validation. Good is something else entirely. Good is having the hard conversation no one else will. Good is saying what needs to be said, even when it makes others uncomfortable. Good is standing firm in principle even if it makes you hated. Nice guys chase approval. Good men earn respect. And here's the brutal twist. Women don't respect the nice guy. Bosses don't trust the nice guy. Friends don't follow the nice guy, because niceness without strength is just disguised weakness, and weakness is repulsive. Look at history with the greatest leaders: Nice, Caesar, Alexander, Napoleon. They could be generous, yes. They could be merciful, yes, but only when it served their power, never at the expense of strength. Look at modern power. CEOs, presidents, champions. Are they nice guys? Not a chance. They're fair. They're just. They protect those who stand with them, but they do not bend for approval. They do not tremble at rejection. They do not fear being disliked, and that's why they're followed. You can be kind without being weak. You can be good without being nice, but you cannot be respected if you are weak. Strength with kindness is magnetic. Weakness with niceness is poison. If you take nothing else from this, take this. Stop trying to be liked. Start demanding to be respected. Because when the choice is between being feared, being loved, or being ignored, the worst fate for a man is to be ignored. Your father probably told you loyalty is everything. Be loyal to your friends. Be loyal to your company. Be loyal to your woman. But Machiavelli, he saw the world for what it is, not what it pretends to be, and his warning was brutal. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Read that again. It is safer to be feared than to be loved. Why? Because love is fragile. Love is conditional. Love is loyal. Only when it benefits the one giving it. You've seen this play out 1,000 times, but you didn't have the courage to name it. That friend who only calls when he needs something. That company that preaches we're a family until the next round of layoffs. That woman who keeps her options open while demanding your commitment. This isn't loyalty. It's exploitation dressed as loyalty. And here's the part most men never understand. Loyalty without reciprocity isn't noble. It's weakness. A man who keeps giving loyalty to people who don't return it isn't virtuous. He's a fool. And fools are made to be used. Think about the most powerful men you know. Not the ones who pretend, but the ones who actually control their lives. Are they blindly loyal? Do they stick around after betrayal? After disrespect? After being taken for granted? Hell no, they are strategically loyal. They understand loyalty is a contract, and the moment the contract is broken, all bets are off. Here's the cold truth. Loyalty isn't about being a dog who follows no matter what. It's about being a wolf who walks beside those who prove they're worthy and who bares his teeth the moment they're not. Machiavelli knew this. He saw kings who trusted too much get stabbed in the back. He saw leaders who thought love would protect them only to be devoured by the same people who swore allegiance. And today, nothing's changed. The workplace, the marketplace, even your own home. Loyalty exists, but only as long as it serves someone's interests. So, how do you use this knowledge? Simple. Be generous with your loyalty, but be ruthless about withdrawing it. Test people. Watch how they behave when there's nothing in it for them. Notice who shows up in your storms, not just your sunshine. And never ever keep giving to those who bleed you dry. A man who demands loyalty, but never gives it back is a tyrant. But a man who keeps giving loyalty to those who don't return it is a slave. And slaves get broken. So here's the second dark lesson. Never waste loyalty on those who can't or won't return it, because loyalty without reciprocity isn't love, it isn't honor, it isn't noble, it's weakness, and weakness gets eaten alive. But this raises a terrifying question. If loyalty is fragile, if love is conditional, then what truly protects a man? What shields him from betrayal, from exploitation, from being discarded the moment he's no longer useful? Machiavelli's answer was chilling. Not love, not loyalty, reputation. A man without reputation is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Translation, it doesn't matter who you are. It matters who they think you are. And that's where most men fail. They think authenticity means showing everything about themselves. They overshare. They expose their fears, their weaknesses, their doubts. They cry about being misunderstood, and then they wonder why no one respects them. But here's the truth. The world doesn't reward the real you. The world rewards the strategic you. Your reputation is the armor that shields you from betrayal, the sword that cuts through lies, the shadow that precedes you into every room. With a strong reputation, enemies hesitate. With a weak reputation, even your friends doubt you. Think about history. Alexander the Great conquered half the known world, not just because of strategy, but because of myth. He spread stories that he was invincible, a demigod. His enemies believed it before the battle even began. Or look at modern times. Steve Jobs didn't just build Apple. He built an aura. People called it a reality distortion field. Investors, employees, even rivals bent to his will because his reputation made them believe he was untouchable. Now, compare that to the men you know who constantly complain, constantly explain themselves, constantly try to convince others to see their true heart. They're not respected. They're pied. Here's the dark lesson. Perception is reality. And if you don't control perception, someone else will control it for you. Want to be seen as competent? Never whine about problems. Present solutions. Want to be seen as valuable? Don't always be available. Scarcity creates worth. Want to be seen as powerful? Never explain your decisions to people who can't affect your life. This is strategic authenticity. Not being fake, but revealing only the parts of yourself that serve your goals. Reputation is like fire. Left unattended, it dies. Spread too wildly, it burns you alive. But controlled, it gives light, warmth, and fear. And here's the cruelest part. Once your reputation is tainted, it takes a lifetime to restore, if it ever comes back at all. A single crack can destroy years of work. So you must guard it more fiercely than your money, more fiercely than your relationships, because your reputation is your passport into power, and without it, you're already exiled. But reputation alone isn't enough, because there will always be those who try to destroy it, those who envy it, those who want your place. And that brings us to Machiavelli's next warning. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. Most men believe peace is normal and war is an exception. Machiavelli knew the opposite. He wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." Understand this. Conflict is not something that might happen. Conflict is something that is always happening in silence, in whispers, in shadows. The only question is whether you're ready for it, or whether you'll be devoured when it arrives. Think of your life like a battlefield. In your career, someone is always watching your position, waiting for you to stumble so they can replace you. In your relationships, there's always another man willing to take your place if you grow weak. In your social circle, there's always someone testing your boundaries, seeing how far they can push before you break. And here's the brutal reality. If you're not prepared for war, you've already lost. The successful men you admire, the ones who rise above, they aren't surprised by conflict. They expect it. They train for it. They prepare during peace so they don't bleed during war. A warrior doesn't sharpen his blade the moment the enemy arrives. He sharpens it every morning, even when the field looks quiet. So how does this look in your world? In business, Amazon stockpiles cash, crushes competitors before they grow. They prepare long before the market shifts. In politics, nations build arsenals, make alliances, and infiltrate rivals during so-called peace. In your personal life, the man who stays in shape, even when he isn't threatened, the man who builds his savings when money flows, the man who cultivates allies when he doesn't need them, that man survives when storms come. Machiavelli gave us the animal parable. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Do you see it? You must be both. Cunning enough to see danger before it arrives. Strong enough to crush it when it does. Most men choose one. They are clever but weak. The fox who eventually gets torn apart. Or they are strong but blind. The lion who falls into traps he never saw coming. But the man who becomes both. That man is untouchable. Here's the dark law. Don't start wars, but be prepared to finish every single one. Because here's a secret that weak men never grasp. The man who is visibly prepared for war rarely has to fight at all. Why? Because predators sense strength, and they always choose the weaker target. So build yourself into a man others are afraid to test. Not because you're violent, not because you're reckless, but because you radiate readiness. Train when no one is watching. Save when everyone else spends. Study when everyone else is distracted. Forge yourself into a weapon before the battle begins. Then when war comes, and it will come, you won't panic. You'll already be ready. But let's be clear. Even with strength, cunning, reputation, and readiness, most men still get destroyed for one simple reason. Because they confuse being nice with being strong. And that's the final lie your father told you. People like to imagine that honesty rules the world, that truth rises to the top, that integrity always wins. That's the fairy tale. The reality deception has built kingdoms, toppled empires, and carved the path of history more than honesty ever has. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promises." Read that again. He didn't say some men lie. He didn't say only the wicked betray. He said every leader, every ruler, every person of power eventually deceives. Because deception is not corruption. Deception is survival. Look at the natural world. The fox pretends weakness to lure prey. The snake camouflages itself before it strikes. The angler fish hides in darkness, waving its glowing lure until the victim swims into its jaws. Humans are no different. Politicians sell you dreams they never intend to deliver. Corporations drape poison in marketing campaigns of family, joy and freedom. Even in your own home, people promise loyalty, love forever, and mean it only until it costs them. And yet most men cling to the illusion that honesty will protect them, that if they are good enough, the world will reward them. Fools. Machiavelli knew the truth. The deceiver will never lack victims, because men are simple. Because men are desperate to believe the lie that comforts them. Here's the brutal part. If you refuse to deceive, you will still be deceived. If you refuse to play the game, you will still be a piece on someone else's board. Does this mean you should lie endlessly, cheat recklessly, betray at every turn? That's what idiots think power is. But it means you must master the art of controlled deception, showing masks, hiding knives, revealing just enough to keep others blind to your real intentions. The world doesn't reward pure honesty. The world rewards strategic honesty. Tell the truth when it strengthens you. Lie when it protects you. Break promises when keeping them would destroy you. And above all, never forget that everyone else is already doing the same. Here's the law no one dares admit. The honest man isn't noble. He's prey. You've been told your whole life that morality is absolute, that there's good and there's evil, that the righteous are rewarded and the wicked are punished. But Machiavelli saw through that illusion. He understood what most men never will. Morality is not truth. Morality is control. Think about it. Who decides what's good? Not you. Not the masses, but the powerful. When rulers want obedience, they call it virtue to submit. When leaders want sacrifice, they call it honor to die for them. When elites want control, they redefine evil as anything that threatens their authority. And the masses swallow it whole, because believing in morality feels safe. It feels like the universe has order, like justice always wins. But history spits on that illusion. The church burned men alive in the name of morality. Nations justified slavery, conquest, and genocide in the name of morality. Modern governments bomb cities and call it defending freedom. Morality isn't about truth. It's about narrative.